Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Khalid, there we go. There we go. You look sharp, brother.
Thank you, brother. Likewise, man, as always. Hey, hey,
Hey, darling.
Miss Smith,
You
how are
doing?
you? My
Doing great.
goodness.
Thank you.
What color
So
bracelet?
great to
You
see
look,
you.
it is to see you too. You look absolutely
Oh,
beautiful. I love,
you are so wonderful to say that. And look
yeah,
at
you
my
do. I love the
handsome
hair. I
son
love
out
the
there.
head wrap. I love the style. You look fantastic.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Yo, I'm Khalid. I'm loving the whole entire Raiden, man. You got like the Mortal Kombat going.
Yeah, this is they call these Fulani hats from from West Africa. So from like
Okay.
the Mali, Nigeria region, you can get these hats. They're just basically farmer hats.
Hey, well, you look. I mean, you look good, man. You look sharp. You look well put together. I love it all.
I do
Thank you, thank
too.
you. Likewise, both of y'all look fantastic, radiating. It's great to see y'all for
Great
sure.
to see you too, man. Khalid, thank you so much for coming on here today. So, Khalid Thompson, we are recording, Khalid.
Yes, great, great, fantastic.
It looks beautiful, man. First off, Mom and I both love the work that you're doing. We're really impressed by it. I mean, we have to get Khalid on if we can get him.
Wow.
Yes, I told Brandon that you are an artist. And I said, you just have to see his work. And so I'm so glad you said you would come in and be viewed by all of the followers Brandon has now.
Yeah.
So he'll tell you about, but go ahead, Brandon. You do your thing.
Yeah, Khalid, we're doing well, man. We're at 1.4 million views right now, and I think we're at 265,000 followers.
Wow, that's crazy. Congratulations, man. That's amazing.
It takes a village, man. It takes a village. You know, your mom's friends, like she's like the sister she always wanted, like always never had, but wanted to have outside of, family's not always relative, just anyone that loves you unconditionally.
Yeah, no
So,
question.
and then our families have been close since we were kids before I was born. In fact, I guess I'm the youngest one in the crew.
That's
Right
right.
on. Right on.
But yeah, Cleve, we want to hear about you, man. What you've been doing because we know you personally from Virginia. Why don't you tell more about yourself to the people
Yeah,
from
yeah,
like
yeah.
start?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the wonderful Brandon Rush and his wonderful mother for inviting me on this podcast. I have had the pleasure of knowing them for a very long time. They are just incredible standout people. So it's a true privilege to be here and to be with all of you. As some of you may know, depending on if you follow my work or not, I'm from Richmond, Virginia, originally from Richmond. Born and raised. I won't go into too long of a story. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith here, they know about our past. So maybe I'll start there. Okay, we got time.
Yeah,
So,
you have plenty of time, Khalid. You have as much time as you want.
okay, cool, cool, fantastic. So, to give y'all an idea of how I became an artist, because I think it's most important that people understand, like, why did I choose this path, or why did this path choose me? And I think it had a lot to do with understanding through my upbringing, through my life, how to manage emotions, how to manage trauma, how to manage experiences that a lot of humans go through, right? So we all come up, we deal with different trials, tribulations, achievements and the like, but how we all process it is differently. So the way that I learned how to kind of cope with my circumstances and make the most of them was through creativity, which really it was kind of impressed upon me at a young age, around 6, 7 years old. But I really took to it about 10 years later when I was in high school.
Okay.
I got into a creative writing class. I'll never forget the teacher's name, Miss Perkison at Tucker High School. You know, we
Yeah,
got to rep that, Brandon. You know, we got to rep
yeah,
that, B. You know, we got to rep the West End. You got to rep.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely,
so it was through her that I found, I won't say a gift or a talent, but more just a gateway to
absolutely.
expressing things that I don't think I really had the vocabulary for, or the circumstances weren't around to really foster that. You know, we grew up in the 90s, things like healing and self-help and therapy weren't as common
Okay,
as they are today.
That's
absolutely.
correct.
So a lot of us just had to figure out ways to overcome the stuff we had to deal with. We come from an incredible generation before us, for like your mother and your grandparents, that had to deal with a lot so that we could be here. So for me, finding creativity in high school through poetry primarily was the thing that kind of springboarded my imagination and kind of was able to take me to places in my mind that, like, I guess the monotony of reality couldn't take me to. And for some reason it touched me in such a way that I felt not only compelled to investigate in my imagination, but I also felt this yearning to share it, to make it accessible. And it was through poetry that I got my first inkling of that. But it wouldn't be 2 years later that I became a visual artist.
Okay.
So we'll fast forward some time, because while I
Take your
was in
time.
Richmond, oh, okay, I just didn't want to go on and on and on and
No,
on
no,
because
no,
you're
no, no.
pointing. Yeah,
Khalid,
okay,
you have the full force. It's our show, man. You got as
okay.
long as talk as you want to.
All right, cool, beautiful. So, well, I'll backtrack a little bit because I think it's important to talk about, for me in particular, like my experience, as y'all both are familiar with, as a young child. My family got separated.
Yeah.
My father was incarcerated, and my mom had to become the mainstay income provider for my brother, sister, and I. That was just a traumatic experience for a child to have. At 7-year old, all of a sudden, what seemed to be stable and supportive was changed, and in such a drastic way. And it was, turbulent for my parents as well as for us. So that was probably the first time in my life where I felt like, wow, life is really an interesting place. It's not this safe, secure space that, and to learn that as a 7-year old, now having a son who's 11, I think being able to reflect on it now that I'm a father even more, it kind of really allows me to see it for what it was. I was a child, and all of a sudden my family's separated, and my mom's gone all the time, and my brother has to cook for us at night, or at least heat up the food. And he's 11, I'm 7, and my sister's 6. So
Yeah.
I
Wow.
think that kind of uh planted a seed of like, wow, well, what is my worth in relation to the reality I'm living in? It doesn't feel safe anymore. It doesn't feel secure. Things don't feel like they're so how do I find it? And then from that point forward, it was like a journey to getting to that. Like, and it was kind of like the universe had propelled me to have to look within to find the stability and the support. Although my family, we stuck together, we remained close through the ups and downs and all of that. It still was like, well, I have to make sense of this. I have to find meaning behind this because it happened at such a young age.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't able to really articulate it for so many years. But it was through creativity while in high school, my junior year, that I think I started to find like a place in the world where I could connect with the world in a much deeper way. So much of it up to that point was just trying to fit in, trying to get along, trying to appease and please, because that was my way of responding to the trauma. I wanted everything to be okay, right? We all want everything to be okay. So if we can just try to get along, then maybe everything will be okay. And what I learned in life is that's not necessarily the situation. You gotta, sometimes you gotta break different parts of yourself to the surface in order
Absolutely.
to
Yeah, you
deal with
do.
things.
Yeah, you do.
But what I was able to find through creativity was this kind of safe space for me to explore ideas of what it was to be a Black male growing up in the West End, Henrico, where we weren't the predominant, but there was a kinship there, and there was an understanding even with the larger community, like that at least when I went to Tucker in high school, there was kind of like a natural camaraderie. I mean, all the other complexities were there. Trust me, the racism, all that was there for sure. But with my particular class, and even Brian, B, with you being around and all that, you kind of understand what I'm saying
Yeah,
about the
absolutely.
just the sense of camaraderie that seemed to be there.
It did.
And I think, but I realized even then at that time that I was kind of like a little unique and different.
Good.
And I felt personally, the way I responded to that is I kind of muted myself a little bit because of the jokes, the getting picked on, the stuff that would
Yeah.
happen because I was different.
Yeah.
And although I was cool with most of it, because I can laugh at myself, it did affect me.
Understand.
It also, but creativity allowed me to find like a place where like, maybe the rest of the world doesn't understand me and what I'm going through, but this place seems to allow me to express myself and give me that. I'll use it in like the coinage terms we use today, like safe place or
Yeah.
empowering space. I'll say an
Absolutely.
empowering space to tap into this creativity. So around about 17, 18, I got really into poetry and graduated high school, went to Hampton for a couple of semesters, by the support of your wonderful parents, really pushing for me to get there. But I found out for me personally that I don't know if it was that college didn't work for me because I love
Yeah.
to learn, I love to explore, I love to experience. But think my upbringing kind of created like a rebelliousness a little bit. Not so much a direct one, maybe a passive direct, if that makes sense, but more like
No, that's right.
I don't want to follow the mold because I kind of maybe
Yeah.
the order of my life had been kind of, shaken up.
At a
So
young age.
anything that tried to stabilize me, or that was my way of my angst towards the world, was like, well, I'm going to push back and I'm going to kind of do my own thing. So I found out that like I ended up leaving Hampton. Like I think I did the summer semester prior to my freshman year, and then I did that fall semester, and then I left and I came back to Richmond. And I started to hang out with a lot of my friends that were going to VCU, and some of them were in the arts programs there. And I started to hang out in the fan. And that's when I really started to come into this understanding of who I was. Like I would meet all these really creative people, these bohemians, these thinkers, these intellectuals in the fan and in Richmond. And it just like blew my mind. I was like, wow, people are thinking like this.
Yeah.
They're questioning society. They're tapping into their own creative spirits. You know, they're full of life. They're creative with their dress. They're really expressing themselves, and that really helped me to kind of lean more into poetry and in writing, which I was doing at the time. And then I would say probably like around 2002, I would go to DC with my friends a lot to hang out, and I ended up meeting a woman there who became my wife eventually. She was a student at Howard, and you know, we got together, we like, you know, dated back and forth from DC to Richmond for about a year. And I was like, you know, I've been living in Richmond my whole life. I want to see what else is going on out here in the world. DC seems like more international, more
Yeah.
creative. Let's see what's
That's
good.
true.
So when she finished up her last year at Howard, I moved up to DC with her. And about a year into it, I became a bike messenger, which was like a
Okay.
perfect job for me because I love to still be physically active,
Yeah.
but I also love to wear what I want to wear. I love to be myself. I don't really like a lot of like people overseeing me and what I have to do, but I like to be productive too and contribute to
Absolutely.
society. So it worked for me. You know, it wasn't the biggest paying job, but I've always been more moved by experience, you know, the experiences and how they can enrich my character. Not that I don't need money because we all need it,
Yeah.
but I can get by with making less if the experience was more enriching for me.
Yeah. You were happy too.
Yeah, I was happy. I was definitely happy with the job.
Yeah.
And through my ex-wife, I met this artist from the Ivory Coast. He was a visual painter. He lived in DC. His name was Sharif Mamadou. And she said, Khalid, you have to meet this guy. She said, I met him at the coffee shop one day. I just think he would be wonderful for you to meet. And at this time, I wasn't, you know, focusing on visual art as a practice. I had dibbled and dabbled with art throughout the years. You know, I was more into writing. But I
Yeah.
found that for me, because of the way I think is so abstract, that I felt like the way I wrote was kind of like people were kind of missing what I was saying. And I didn't really want to like part of the reason I wanted to create because I wanted to connect with people.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Having that ability to like not just express myself, but like at least impact people in a way that they could like react to it. Maybe not
Absolutely.
like, you know, and I think that's why I gravitated more to visual art because
Yeah.
seeing is kind of can be more like it can be a more interactive way of getting your message across.
Mhm.
So, you know, just kind of naturally just kind of gravitated towards that because I got all these weird ideas, but how can I transmit them to people so that they can at least I can get a reaction out of them?
Yeah.
And so when I met Sharif and I saw how passionate he was with his drawing and his painting and how like just this unconscious stream of creativity that came from him. He would be painting out on the street outside the cafe with all his paintings,
Oh
with his
wow.
music on, and just drawing and painting like a madman. And I just was so like fascinated by like, oh, this guy really, I'm not saying he doesn't care, but he seems to be so engaged in what he's doing that
Yeah.
different opinions of people doesn't matter.
Don't
And I think
matter.
that
Yeah.
really empowered me. That was like, wow, that's possible. Because where we
Yeah.
come from, you know, in the South, we can be a little
Yeah.
more mild mannered, mild tempered.
Yeah.
You know, it's the culture, it's the history of the South
It is.
that I love. I definitely love and value, but that we know it has its nuances.
Yeah.
So right. Well, that's a very good way of putting it, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's true.
That's very
That is so
like we
true.
could.
Yeah.
That's a rabbit hole to go into, but we
It
go.
is. We
You
know
know, we
that's
know the
right.
dirty South. You know, we know how the
Yeah.
South can really be. So, and
Yeah.
I definitely want to highlight that too.
We will.
Um,
Yeah. Go ahead.
growing up in Richmond, not to veer off, you know, from the DC
Hey,
thing.
you're fine. You're
You're
fine.
Yeah,
fine.
but
You're fine.
You
yeah,
talk,
but
man. You're good. It's
Yeah.
our
thank
show.
y'all. I appreciate the space.
Yeah.
To
Absolutely.
go. Yeah. So yeah, but that was also a thing too, you know, as a black kid growing up in the West End and Henrico, having, you know, being open to different cultural perspectives. I listened to rock and roll. I had white friends.
Yeah.
I had black friends. I was so to a lot of my black friends, it was like I was fringe, you know, I was different. They couldn't
Yeah.
really so I was the highlight of a lot of jokes and comparisons. And then sometimes when I would go in the space with my white friends, I would feel that sense of like, oh, I'm the only one sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
my gosh.
I, I don't I don't want to feel this, but I can tell I'm the only
Yeah.
one. You know, comments, things are said, racial slurs are mentioned, and you know, you kind of feel like with Get Out, you know, you're in this sunken
Yeah.
place, you know,
You're right.
yearning to kind of break free from that. So I think when I saw Sharif, it was kind of like, yeah, he's a black man. He's got to deal with a lot of the same issues that I deal with, but he's found his way to kind of escape that sunken place and, at least through art,
Absolutely.
express himself and be himself. So it just blew my mind.
Absolutely.
And at that moment, seeing him out on the street, because at this point I think I had become a bike messenger. So my wife had already, my ex-wife, I'm sorry, had already introduced me to him. But then
Okay.
I ran into him on the street and I saw the paintings and I saw him painting. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I just
Absolutely.
knew it at that point. Like I was just like, I want to express myself in a way that charges the space I'm in and the people I'm around with positivity in terms of using creativity as a form of hope,
But
you
yep.
know, as a step towards hope and saying that we can take what we have in life and we can make this alchemy out of it, this creativity out of it, that you can take lemons and make lemonade out of it. This is an
Yeah,
old
absolutely.
adage from the South. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's in our history, it's in our culture. We take circumstances that are often strange or hard to really process and deal with, and somehow we're able to extract and make magic out of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah,
why our
absolutely.
culture gets the respect in terms of our cultural expression here being Black Americans, because like that's a tradition. So when I got into art, I was already aware of that tradition. And
Yeah.
then when I started to really seriously practice art and research the legacy of abstract painting and how, a lot of Western art, shows, of course, the big players, the Picassos, the Joan Miros, all these, but there's a lot of Black legacy in Western art that doesn't get discussed. So that obviously was one of the things that attracted me to it. And then just the history of West African culture basically giving Europeans the blueprint for modernism.
Yeah.
Picasso went to look at African sculpture to
What did
understand how to
it?
create cubism.
Okay.
So he was creating cubism, and then cubism became like the predecessor to abstract painting. So all those artists from Paul Klee to Vasily Kandinsky, all of them went to North Africa, all of them went to West Africa, all of them went to the Orient to understand how to reframe artistic expression. That's just never highlighted. But for me, it's important to respect those artists, but also highlight the contributions of our culture as a diaspora and as a people, and say, yeah, we've always kind of been laying the blueprints, even though a lot of it doesn't get, pointed in
Yeah.
our direction. So with that understanding that I had in terms of appreciating the value of my culture, going to DC to connect with larger cultures, I ran into this wonderful brother from Africa who changed my life. And from that point, I've been painting. Like it's my
Yeah.
passion. It's a part of my spiritual connection to life. It motivates me spiritually. It is my spiritual motivation. It is my
Good.
reason to heal, to grow, to learn discipline in other areas of my life, to have a deeper relationship with the creator, to, have a deeper relationship with nature, to overcome all that I went through as a kid, being a latchkey kid growing up. And also growing up in my neighborhood, the working class little apartment complex, English Hills, all my friends, most of them came from the city, and they were all raised by single mothers. So I only had one friend coming up that had his father, and that's why I had so much love for Mr. Smith. Because, like, one thing I knew, regardless, he was there. You know what I'm saying? He was
Yeah.
there for me with David. He was there for y'all. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that, like, I treasured. I just had so much respect for that. I know, what I'm saying, like, wishing my dad could have been around, or just having some kind of male presence, because none of us did. Like all my
Yeah.
friends coming up, none of us had male presence, and our mothers did the best they could. And they did a fantastic job. We
They
have to
did.
give the utmost credence to the Black woman,
Yeah.
because she's always there. She's always there. Like
Holding
real
it
talk.
together.
You know what I'm
Certainly,
saying?
Yeah.
sir.
Holding it together for real.
Yes.
So for sure. So that's, I think that's also a big leap why I got into creativity, because my mom was into creativity coming up. She, was a dancer back in the 70s. She danced African dance. She did tap. She wrote poetry. Life changed. She had a family. It's hard to maintain those creative pursuits when
Yeah.
you're raising kids and you have so many responsibilities. So my mom, she was never like, yeah, go out and be an artist, but she never really discouraged me. She kind of was
Yeah.
always like, he really wants to achieve this thing in his life with his creativity.
Yeah.
So she kind of always, supported and encouraged it. But yeah, it was a lot to go through coming up as
Yeah.
a kid and as a teenager, all those complexities. And I think it's reflective in my work.
Yeah.
That's why there's so many layers and colors and intersecting shapes and forms, because there's layers to me as a person. And it's
Absolutely.
all, merging together with this very active energy. that I think is inherently positive. You know, you want to share love with the world, but then you also have to learn how to mitigate pain. You have to learn how to mitigate, you know, trauma. You have to learn how to mitigate sadness. You have to learn how to mitigate your own faults, your own setbacks, your own, you know, things that you bring into the mix of life. But
Absolutely.
this has definitely been my anchor, and is
Yes.
you know, kind of really been the driving force behind how I've lived my life for the past almost 20 years now that I've been pursuing it.
Amazing.
So, so yeah.
Khalid,
Yes.
first time I saw your painting, and I always loved you all, as you know. First time I saw your painting, I was at your mother's home, and I looked on the wall and I said, Kathy, who did that beautiful painting? She said, Khalid. I almost fell out. I did not know this part. Then I would go up another place and I said, who did that painting? She said, Khalid. I said, well, Khalid, I said, let me, Lord, I will have to get a painting from him before he's a Picasso. He's already there. Then I will have to pay bunions of money, bukus of money. And
Well,
she
you gonna get
said,
the family
well,
disc. You gonna get
she
the hookup.
said,
You gonna get the
she
hookup.
said, she said, Carolyn, you know, Khalid loved you so much. You're not gonna have to pay that. I said, oh no, I got to help the artist. But please, the painting by you.
Yes.
I want to look at that painting a little bit more, and I want you to tell us a little bit about that scene. Okay?
Okay, great. So I made this painting just a couple of nights ago. I have like different degrees of I'll say abstract expression. I can do very gestural kind of energetic works like this, and I can do kind of solid geometric, you know, precise kind of stuff. But this painting here, this is in line, which is something I want to share about one of the artistic practices I do is I'm a big fan of jazz music. I got
Yeah.
a John Coltrane t-shirt on right now, you know, so
Nice.
let y'all
Oh
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the philosophy around John using improvisation as a way to connect with, you know, God, basically, to have a better,
Okay.
more stronger relationship with the creator. It's kind of my philosophy as an artist. So with this particular style of work, it's more of what you would call gestural and expressive. So when
Oh,
I'm approaching the canvas, I'm not really taking a lot of time to plot out and mark stuff in a specific way. I'm going with the feel and the energy. I'm adding brushstrokes here. I'm using the palette knife. I'm adding swaths of color because I want, number one, I want you to see the movement in the piece. I want you to see the dynamism in the work and the intersecting lines and brushstrokes. But I also
Yeah.
yeah.
want you to get a feel of the power of the moment that it was expressed in. So it
Absolutely.
still feels active and alive, like it was painted in the moment. So
Yeah.
one of the things I do is with jazz musicians, I do the same thing. I'll go up and I'll do performances with
Okay.
jazz musicians where I paint live beside them and complete a piece. I've worked with artists such as Teardros Avery, who is actually the saxophonist on Love Jones that Lorenz
Oh
Tate
wow.
was, yeah. And he's toured, which was crazy to me because way after I worked with him, I found that out on the post, and I was like, "You was the brother from Love Jones on the
Yeah.
saxophone." He was like, "That was me." I was like, "Yo, that's crazy. That used to be my
Yeah.
favorite movie coming up." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was wild. No, go ahead, go ahead, Mister. You about to say
I
something, Mister?
almost put music on today because I've seen you out there painting, and I said he has entertained. He's been painting, and the music goes and it flows. And you should see. I was looking at how you would do those strokes and everything. I said, "Go ahead,
Yeah,
Khalid."
man.
And the colors. I mean, how you
Beautiful.
bring these colors. How God blesses your mind to bring the colors that you put together. And then I started to see things, images within the
Yeah.
painting that come through to me, that speak to me. And
Right.
so do you use oil paintings? Do you use oil to paint, or
Oh yeah. What are your
what
painting products that you
you
use,
use?
Khalid?
Yeah, yeah. I started off with oil, but I moved to acrylic much
Okay.
Oh,
later. I think acrylic is a medium that dries much faster. It has the ability to do what oil can do if you apply the water properly. Oil is, I mean, both acrylic and oil have some toxicity to them, but oil is really toxic. So
Okay.
oh, okay.
when my current, you know what I'm saying, partner got pregnant, you know, we was living in a studio apartment in DC and oil wasn't happening no more.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
switched over
Absolutely.
to
That's true.
Smart.
which was great for me too because acrylic I find it more useful in terms of
Okay.
like being able to like do work and produce work on a faster pace, you know.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but with this, the
Now,
color is a made also a huge part of my expression. You know, to me, color is like one of, you know, God's languages. It's a way that I'm able to communicate my excitation for life,
uh-huh.
the joy that I have around
Yeah.
life and living, or just the excitement. I won't even say is always joy. It's just like excitement and curiosity and the ability to touch people. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of music. So for me, there's like a really powerful correlation between color and sound. The ears and
Okay.
the eyes on the same level. So our
Absolutely.
proprioception, so sound and color fit together, in terms of like how we see the world. We need to be able to hear and we need to be able to use color to identify what we see and how it sounds and all of that.
Absolutely.
So for me, the power of color and the movement is so that I can kind of create that tendency that nature naturally manifests. The
Absolutely.
reason I use, and every painting I do, no matter the approach, is from the intuition. I usually
Okay.
start from the space of, I don't really plan my work. I follow stream of consciousness. It's my way of tapping into a deeper, more universal reality that we're all a part of this magical creation of the creator.
Absolutely.
No, and with all the complexities, it's still incredible that it exists at all. So the fact that there's that magic there, the fact that, through what I went through as a kid, I kind of had to learn through searching, like, well, what's positive here? What's here that's going to stabilize and thrive me? Art was
Absolutely.
able to kind of be that bridge between me and the creator to say, hey, I
Absolutely.
got you. It's all good, let's do this
That's well,
together. Yeah.
Khalid, two things I had to say while I remember. One, I want to let you know, brother, I almost broke down crying in the first 10 minutes when you were telling me about what you were feeling growing up. I literally had my eyes were starting to water up and I had to hold it in because I felt everything that you were saying and I can only imagine what you were going through. And so I you touched me, man, but I've said numerous times, especially as my dad died, I'm okay with crying and stuff. But I was literally trying to get something. I was like, come on, Brandon, hold it back. Because what you went through, what your whole entire family went through was it was such a tough thing, but you all turned out so well, and it was out of you guys' control. Even it's complete out of control. Things happen in lifetime. One thing my dad always says that we're all human. We all make mistakes.
Sure.
And when you were saying that, I was starting to tear up, and I'm like, "Let me, Brandon, don't lose it right now." Khalid's telling his beautiful story, and like it's what it touched me emotionally. So that was the. I just wanted to let you know that touched me so much, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. And two, the painting behind you, is that the one that I have on the story?
Yeah, yeah. That's the one I
Man,
painted.
that thing looks awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I appreciate that.
Khalid, are you in a field? Are you outside? It
Yeah,
seems
so I got all
I can
kinds of stories
feel
for y'all.
something with the painting.
Right, right. So I'm on my property here out in
Okay.
Okay.
we're about 20 minutes south of Farmville, Virginia, out
Okay.
Okay.
here on our property. We got almost 11 acres out here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. So we've been basically it was about I guess it was 2019 we purchased this land. I was living in DC with my family. Me and my ex-wife had separated back in I think it was 11.
Okay.
And my current, soon to be wife, Lucretia Jones, she's a herbalist
Okay.
and is a craftswoman, I would say. She graduated from VCU in 94 for sculpture. So she's
Oh,
an
amazing.
artist herself, but her
Yeah.
focus has been herbalism over the last 25 years. But
Absolutely.
but so when we connected, probably about a year, I wouldn't say it was a year, it's probably some months actually after I had divorced my ex-wife. We had a kinship. I had met her before, and there was like a creative kinship, like, oh, you're really weird. Oh, you're
Yeah.
really weird. And we're both black. That's cool. Like, and you're from Richmond too. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. It's like, because I was like, wow, like, I mean, I'm a pretty, eccentric cat. So, I'm not trying to bring anybody into my world
Yeah.
here. It's like we kind of got to be on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
So it was such a treasure. It was such a treasure to meet her, even after
Yeah.
what I had been through with my previous ex-wife. It was refreshing that like, oh wow, it was maybe meant for us to connect. But
Absolutely.
so about a year in, she got pregnant and we had Kiyoshi in 2013.
Okay.
And when she got pregnant, she moved to DC to stay with me.
Okay.
So I was up there. So I basically worked and focused on my art career and worked as a bike messenger, stayed at home and homeschooled Kiyoshi and ran
Okay.
her business from home.
Nice.
So that's kind of how we worked it from, I guess, 2013 to 2020.
Okay.
We were in DC. So what happened is we got the land in 2019, but through that time, she had really been into camping, hiking, and like homesteading and all this stuff before it was even
Okay.
That's
kind of
unique
hidden.
in itself.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. So she was already into that. Yeah, she had like stayed on a homestead with goats and stuff back in her early 20s when she went to apprentice with this herbalist. So yeah,
Wow.
she was a rare one for Richmond. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
she
Yeah,
She was
is
yeah,
a rare
for
one.
real.
very rare.
She was a rare one for Richmond. So
Well,
So and
she's
I think that was
uniquely made.
yeah, exactly. I think it was part of my attraction, is that she was
Yeah.
Yes.
different, she was really different. So she had already had this dream and because we thought it might have been the most stable thing at the time because I was kind of able to work and we weren't making a bunch, but we had apartment where
Yeah.
everything was base
Yes.
bills was getting paid, we was
Yeah.
trying to get our
Yes.
dreams going.
Absolutely. Amen.
So yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So basically, we stayed there, Kiyoshi, we raised him pretty much in DC. And then when COVID hit, we got the land about 5 months before. We just
Oh,
bought some
nice.
raw land out here. It
Yeah.
was really, really affordable. I mean, shockingly affordable
Okay.
for what we paid for it because
Yeah.
it was raw, but it had been cut for timber 15 years before. So the trees were really young and we didn't have a ton of money to clear cut anything. So we were like, well, we could come in with some saws and some chainsaws because the trees are young and cut some stuff down and make some areas for ourselves. We'll kind of gradually build this thing out. But then
Yeah. Absolutely.
when COVID hit, it was like the bike messenger industry kind of tanked.
Yeah.
Mm.
And by that point, I was already doing shows in DC, doing workshops, doing live painting performances. I was pretty much well into my professional career at that point. So we decided this is the best time to kind of leave DC. We were paying, rent at this apartment and the landlord was trifling. So it was like
Yeah.
we ready to
Sure.
move on. Yeah, it was just like we ready to move on. So we moved in with her mother for I'd say about a year while we trained. We would go back and forth to the land and kind of build things up. I was doing art workshops primarily. I was working with art organizations to make money. My courier company, they did work outside of the DC metro area. So I was able to do some side work for them in Chesterfield and stuff to kind of make sure we were paying our bills and putting our little money away and stuff. And she
Okay.
was running her business. We do markets and stuff. So we were just hustling.
Absolutely.
And going back and forth to the land. So the story with the land was we would come down every weekend prior to the COVID hitting. We would come down every weekend, work on the property, clear paths and stuff. Then when COVID hit, our neighbor had said, "Hey, look, y'all, there's this old man I know that's got a bus,
Okay.
and if y'all want to pull it up and stay in that thing part time while y'all transition or whatever, or live in it or
Yes.
whatever, hey." So we were
Yes.
like, heck yeah.
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 So we were like, yeah, we didn't have a ton of money. So we paid him like $400. He brought the bus on our property and
Oh,
and
nice.
put it up for us. And then we outfitted it so we could stay in it and stuff. And then
Perfect.
eventually, after about a year of living with her mom, we moved into the bus full time and
Okay.
did the whole off grid homestead thing. So
Oh,
Nice.
that is
solar,
So
making a garden, composting everything, the whole thing. Because that was like our dream to get back to nature. It was like this whole
yeah.
get back
Absolutely.
to nature thing for us. So kind of we did that for a year. Our son, of course, was like, "What are y'all doing? Why y'all got me out here in the country? What in the world?" Like that
he's
was
Yeah.
a
such a
whole
beautiful
thing.
child, though. He is a
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful son.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, he's great.
And
He's great.
so wonderful kid. He's creatively made by the Lord. I just love your son, and I can see you and your wife out. Well, his mom. I can see that. I can see that in your son. And he has this beautiful personality. He wakes up in the morning happy. And I've met the son.
Oh, yeah. I
I've
haven't
been
met your
there when
son
he was
yet,
there.
but I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to meet
I've
him.
been there when he gets up in the morning, all free spirited child. I love it. So
Absolutely.
you all are doing an outstanding job with
Oh,
him.
that's good.
Not to cut you off, but when will
No,
you do your next show?
Oh,
Will
yeah.
you
That's
be
important.
doing a next show in
Any-
your area whereby
yeah,
people can come see your work?
absolutely. Yes. So I will be currently I have a show up at Pine Camp Cultural Arts Center in Northside. In
Okay.
Northside of Richmond, Virginia. That's going to be up until the 30th. It's called Color Cosmos. It's got some nice, wonderful, different various sizes of works in that show. That's going to be up till the 30th. And that's
Okay.
at
Uh-huh.
Pine Camp Cultural Arts Center. So if anyone's in the Richmond area, please check out the show. It's a beautiful show. And I think September, I'll be having a really nice exhibition at the Glen Allen Cultural Arts Center.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's going to be from September until November of
Okay.
2025. So that's going to be one of my bigger shows. I'm going to have a lot of good work. It's a really nice gallery space. So I
Oh,
would love for
great.
everybody to come out to that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
will it be every day, only on the
Oh, yeah.
weekends?
That's a
A
good question.
time frame as far as in the evening? I know people would want to meet the artists as well. How does that work?
Yeah, so typically the best opportunity to meet the artist is at the opening reception. I think we've gotten the dates. The dates aren't completely hammered in yet, but they're thinking sometime around the middle of September. So when I get the information, I'll send it to Brandon, and
Yeah.
and then
Every
he
time.
can go ahead and send it out. But
Yeah. Every time.
typically, some shows will have closings. I don't know if the Glen Allen show is going to have a closing, but those are typically the best times. Now the hours for Pine Camp, they say the gallery hours are from 10 a.m. to 5, Monday through Friday, and then from 10 a.m. to 2 on Saturdays.
Okay.
So now with the Glen Island Cultural Arts Center, I'm not too familiar with the hours yet, but that's something I can pass on to Brandon prior
Yeah.
to the show. We have some time for that one.
Yeah.
Do you have an email site, an
Yeah.
email link whereby people can send notes to you and talk about some work that they might be interested in purchasing, like
Yeah,
a piece they might see, and they can contact you direct. Can you give that
Yeah,
to
you
us?
say that to us, Khalid, and I'll get it from you too, but say it to us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check out my website. It's my full name, all lowercase,
Uh-huh.
Khalid Thompson,
Uh-huh.
KHALidThompson.com. That's my
Uh-huh.
website. I got interviews on there. I got stories. I got work. And I'm actually working on putting a lot of new work on there.
Okay.
Homesteading has been an interesting story, in and of itself. So
Yes.
sometimes it's pulling me away from the studio, but I'm at it. So I'm gonna have some new work up there this week. I did also want to mention I will be doing the Farmville, Virginia Arts Walk this Saturday.
Okay.
So anybody that's, in the Farmville area, or that's in and around Richmond and wants to come check me out, I'll be doing that. And that's going to be this Saturday, April 26th. And I think it's from around 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is the
Okay.
time of the arts walk. So that'll also be going on as well. So yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
Great.
Khalid, one thing I want to say, something that you said earlier, I won't hold you too much longer, man, because I know you got to go. But earlier when you said that you use your trauma with your painting, I wanted to let you know in my acting, I've done that a lot. Once was with a breakup. When I went through a breakup, I became one of the best actors I ever could possibly be because I had to hide to I was hiding to my friends that I was upset, but I was putting it all into my performance, and it changed my level of acting into a better actor because I really loved that girlfriend at the time. That was in 2013. That launched me into all these auditions that I was doing and showcases that helped me to get seen. That was the first part. And then when my dad passed, I literally hit a different level of being able to connect and able to put all of that into my work. Like I was never really able to mean mug. I was always able to, it's very hard. They always say, Brandon, we just need you not to smile at every audition. They'd be like, we get the set, just don't smile. But when I lost my dad, those pretty tough roles that I play now, it's like the switch turns on. And it's like I am fully in that and I'm able to play that with the seriousness and look that I can't change. But it's because I went through that trauma. I'm putting that trauma that I have is helping me focus through that lens of acting. So when you were saying that when you're painting and you improvise, even with my auditions, I'll improvise lines. It comes to me. And I'm like, hey, it might not be on the piece of paper, but I know in my soul this is right. I'd rather me not book this role and do it the way I think I'm supposed to do it and let them say, hey, well, you know what? This guy's got talent or he has something here. I'd rather that than the book part. So I saw with you saying the fact that you were putting some of the trauma that you've had, the good times, the lows, the highs, whatever you're feeling in the moment, you putting that into your painting. I just want to let you know as an artist how I connect with you and how we have that same connection, how artists have that connection of putting what's inside of them onto a canvas or onto the silver screen or the screen that I do. So I just want to say I have so much love and connection with you is what I'm basically saying.
No, man, I totally, bro, like I saw that joint you did on Power and I was like, that brother came out the truck ready to go to work. I said, dang, B, boss mode. Wow. My brother came out there ready to go. I was like, that's what's up, man. Amazing job, brother. Like, it just impresses me all around the work ethic. But just, dude, you've always been an incredible stand-up guy, man. I'm not surprised that all these things are coming to you because, bro, you are that dude, B. You are that dude, man. So,
Khalid, I appreciate
I'm so proud of you. So proud of you.
Excuse me.
Yes.
We are blessed to have you guys. We really are. God has given us some wonderful sons and daughter, your sister, so sons and daughter, and your brother, and his brother. But could you please take that painting and bring it forward a little bit more so we can see it? The painting behind you. Yes. Okay.
There we go.
Now I want to see. I want everyone to see it. Isn't that beautiful? Look at all the colors in there.
Khalid, that's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, that is gorgeous, Khalid. Look. Oh, wow.
Khalid, that thing, I love every second to watch you paint that online, but it's amazing.
It's amazing. The color schemes and all, your color combinations are so unique.
Wow,
and I love it. That's why I wanted to bring it. I wanted you to bring it forward too.
Yeah, for sure. You locked in. You locked in. You locked in. I appreciate it.
That's right.
I appreciate it.
Khalid, I just had to say one thing about Power. When I was there that day, the director actually had me inside the aircraft carrier. They cut half of it, but they had me walking through. Like I just knew what I was gonna do. His name's Brendan Walsh. But after I did it the first take, they didn't tell me what to do. They just said, hey, Brandon, we need to get from here to here. After that first take, one of the guys, they were like, Brandon, were you a gangster by chance? Is there something we don't know about you? I'm like, nah, man, I've never been into life.
Dude,
I had
you
that coat
played the
on.
part, bro. You
Yeah,
played
like
the
John
role.
Chef. Yeah.
You were the tough guy, my brother, for sure.
Khalid, I had to look at him like, oh, what is
Yeah.
Right.
this? I
Look,
mean,
that
the
one
look
clip
is
stole the
all.
show, bro. I was like, yo, that's it. I was
Yeah,
like,
man.
that's it. So Hollywood is knocking, bro. Trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to say thank you. I just want to mention that while it was in my mind. But Khalid, man, we thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome on here anytime. And this is just your introduction, basically your introduction, because we own the show and it's ours. It's gonna be. You can come on here as much as you want to talk about stuff. You can let us know how shows go. I just wanted to get the initial introduction of who you are, so people can get to know you. So when it's episode 2, part 2 for you, it's Khalid's back, man. What's the update?
That would be what's up. You know what I'm saying? That would be what's up. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I'm very, very grateful. And I guess I should tell y'all too, while we're here. So we were on this whole land, we were on a reality TV show
Oh,
called
really?
Homestead Rescue. So if
Okay.
anybody out there in TV land, you can go on Discovery Channel, you can go on YouTube and look up the episode. It's called Bust, Sweat, and Tears. We had the Rainies, who it's a really cool show. It's
Yeah.
about 3 Alaskans, the Rainies, Marty, Misty, and Matt. Marty and
Okay.
his 2 kids. They go around. They've been homesteaders for years, and they go around America helping different people on their homesteads. So part of our journey was that experience,
Okay.
which we could go into, in depth another time. But if people want to
Yeah.
check that out, that's on YouTube. And also, I had the opportunity to be blessed to be on a documentary on the Smithsonian Channel.
Really?
It was called Afrofuturism: An Origin Story. So George Clinton was on the documentary. I
Oh,
got
no
to do a
way.
live painting. I did a live painting on the documentary. I'm interviewed throughout. So you can catch that on my website. There's a YouTube link on my website to check
Okay.
out that documentary if people are interested in learning about Afrofuturism and just art. I was on that. So just a few plugs for people that want to try to check out more information about me and my family.
Absolutely, Khalid. Yeah, no, thank you so much. Like, was it Afro? Sorry, man. Repeat the name one more time of the last one.
Afrofuturism,
Okay.
Afrofuturism, an origin story. So,
Okay.
like Black Panther. So basically the theme is about exactly. That's what Afrofuturism is. Like Black people and how we see ourselves in the future and how we can take the knowledge and information from the past, use it in the present, but also expand it into the future. That's basically the whole philosophy around Afrofuturism. So
Okay.
it's a really like you think of Parliament Funkadelic, you think of spaceships, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So that's basically, that's Afrofuturism for you. So they kind of cover it from a historical perspective, going back to times of enslavement up to the present. And I was honored to be a part of that documentary and played shockingly enough, was featured way more than I thought I would have been in it. But I did a live painting in there. So if people want to get an opportunity to see my process when I do this type of work, that might be one of the great opportunities to see it.
Okay.
Inspiration you have been, Khalid, today. I'm telling you, I didn't know when I used to be doing the babysitting job. Your mother gave me that opportunity when I was trying to get back out in the workforce, and she trusted me to take care of you all in the afternoon hours, just a few hours. And I didn't know I would look at you and Camilla and David, and no, Akil wasn't there. And
Yeah, he was a
I
little
didn't
older.
know that God would bless me to see you all, continue to bless me, see you all grow up, see what He has put inside of you, to make you do such a magnificent job of impacting society, changing our views, how we look at society. And it just makes my heart just smile. It makes my heart smile. And I want you to know that. And so you keep on doing the Lord. You keep on doing what you're doing.
Amen.
Because
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
changing so many lives, even the viewers that are listening today. Hey, million viewers out there. And the followers. And when they sent in their questions, we'll make sure that we get that list of questions that they have. So the next time you come on, you'll be able to answer some of the questions that come through. Okay.
Oh, for
All
sure,
right.
for sure, for sure.
Khalid, before I let you go, I'm just gonna say this. I told you I wasn't going full Killmonger mode from Black Panther. I got some T'Challa mixed in there, so we're doing good. We're doing good, but it's a movement, man. It's the Buckle Up Podcast universe. It's a movement.
I love it, man. I'm just super, super happy for y'all. This is great. This is
Yeah, man.
beautiful. I
And
mean,
so
couldn't be happier.
Absolutely. And Khalid, I'll have this back. I'll have the YouTube part back to you super fast, but I'll do the work to get. I'm trying to get stuff to you as fast as possible, so you'll have it and I can send it out and at least be up there. So I'm gonna work as fast as I can to get that stuff to you pretty fast, pretty quick.
And I'm Mama Rush. I'm Mama Rush.
Oh yeah, she picked up. We go by Mama Rush.
Oh, Mama Rush. I wish I had known. Mama
That's my
Rush.
SAG name now, Mama Rush. It's all good. So it's Carolyn Smith, but Mama Rush, and that's Brandon named me Mama Rush. So now that's
right.
where I go. That's the way I go. Right. By Mama Rush.
So, well, Khalid, we love you.
Yeah, love y'all.
Good to see you too, man.
And give my love to your family.
Absolutely.
And I'll be talking with your mother on Saturday. We
absolutely.
we used to check in on Sundays. We check in on Sundays. Yes.
Okay,
well,
beautiful.
For your love.
Yeah, you
and
got
thank
it.
you so much, Khalid.
Yeah, you got it. Anytime. I appreciate y'all so much. I'll see you soon, all right?
Absolutely. And then hit me up anytime of a show. Let me know. Send it to me so I can post it.
All right, you got it, brother. I will. Thank you so much. Thank you again. All right.
Absolutely, Khalid. Take care, bro. We love you,
y'all
man.
later. Bye, everyone. Claps for y'all, too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right, we love you, man.
Love you.
All right, love you, too. Peace.
Excellent. Outstanding.